Hi, this is Steve Young with a little comment on about capitalism and the workings of capitalism. I want to talk to you about three newspaper stories, events, real time, that actually happened out in the world, which demonstrate, teach lessons about the intersection of law with markets. That if you're running a company, capitalism, it really isn't totally free, because you have to have it in an environment of law. The simple point that many people say is you need law and government to enforce contracts, so that you will be able to actually enjoy the results of what you negotiate. But law does a lot of other things. It sets up rules and regulations. It creates safe zones. It also sets up barriers, so you can't do things which society doesn't want to have happen. And so what is the intersection here? So one story involves the company Uber. And this has happened in a couple of cases, but this is a law in California passed by the state, and it goes to your practical evaluation, to some extent you might say, your moral or your policy preference evaluation as to how Google categorizes its drivers. Actually, I just misspoke. Google says the people who use the Google app in their own cars are not working for Google. They are not its drivers. They are independent contractors running their own little businesses, and all they're doing is buying from Uber technical support for their business. In the old-fashioned cabs in New York City or Washington when I was a kid, there was a machine in the cab which tracked the mileage and came up with the fare. Uber argues all they're doing is they're just selling a different kind of machine. And therefore, they do not have to pay salaries. They don't have to pay for health care. They don't have to have other contribute to unemployment insurance or retirement funds, because the people driving those cars are separate, independent businesses. Other people in California say that's not fair to those drivers. They are sort of being dominated. They don't have a power position to negotiate with Uber, so therefore the government should step in with a rule that says they are not independent contractors. They are actually employees. So a statute like this was passed, but then there were unintended consequences, because there are a lot of other people who work part-time as independent contractors. A number of them are artists or software people or consultants who, if they're going to have to be considered as employees, they won't get hired. They're actually providing services which are good for them and good for their customers as independent people. So how should the law draw a line? Where should it draw a line? What kind of language should be used to say, okay, Uber drivers, you have one situation, but all you other people, you're in a different situation? A very important part of the law these days in high tech is copyright and intellectual property. A fight between Google and Oracle, two very large companies in high tech, is going up to the United States Supreme Court. I think it started about 10 years ago with an allegation by Oracle, which had created some software, that lines of its software had been taken by Google without permission, without paying anything, and were incorporated into Google's Android operating system for its smartphones. And Oracle basically wants to say, you broke a rule. You violated the law, and there must be consequences. Presumably what they will get out of this suit, if they will be financial compensation. They will get some payment from Google to them for the use of the code that they invented. And then another issue of law is, can I slide out from under a contract and do something basically against the contract, but not a literal violation of it? There's a lawsuit between Apple and a company which creates games, Epic Games, over the game Fortnite. Very profitable, very, very popular. And you get it all through the Apple App Store. It's an app. So you go to the Apple App Store and you buy it, you download it. Under the rules, under the contract rules of the Apple App Store, Apple gets 30%. of what you pay for Fortnite. What apparently the games did is they built into the Fortnite app on your smartphone, out of the control of Apple, an opportunity for you to get other things without paying any money to Apple. So they were actually denying Apple a price override or a rent extraction based on their sale of games. And the two companies are fighting at court as to how an interpretation of contract law will impact their business.